Hi, my name is Scott Ligon. I'm the author of Digital Art Revolution, Creating Fine Art with Photoshop, a book about using Photoshop as a means of personal expression. The book contains dozens of examples, full-color images from some of the most successful and innovative digital artists working today. This video is part of a series of video interviews with artists whose work is featured in Digital Art Revolution, Creating Fine Art with Photoshop. Welcome to the revolution. Gabriel, could you give us an overview of your work?
I work in mixed media using anything between pencils and collage to paint and spray paint. The content of my work focuses on creating fictitious people and places using historical models for inspiration.
So you do a lot of different kinds of creative endeavors, both digitally and non-digitally. Is there overlap between them?
Well, there's an overlap. Even though I tend to use found material for my collage work, sometimes I'll compose text or reproduce images digitally for a print output to include in a piece.
How do they influence each other?
Well, lately I've been using vector software like Adobe Illustrator to explore some of my ideas on a smaller, more casual scale, and I found that's been a great tool for brainstorming.
What's the most important thing to you in a creative endeavor?
The act of making or constructing is to me the most rewarding. Discovery, using my intuition, improvisation, having a set of rules or limits in terms of my media, but at the same time pushing those to communicate a message is really what is most rewarding.
Tell us how you incorporate Photoshop into your work.
Well, Photoshop is one of the stepping stones in my creative process. If I take a photograph or scan an image, I'll use Photoshop as a means to explore that image and find means of manipulating it. A lot of times I'll make a stencil and use Photoshop to separate different shades and colors to create the stencil composition.
So comic books and science fiction were early influences on you. You do skateboard art. Can you tell us a little bit about how popular culture has influenced your art and why that's appealing to you?
Well, I mean, I grew up in the 1970s, which I think was exclusive in that we were the first generation to be affected by the blockbuster movie, where not only did you go to see the film, but you also bought the action figure, the lunchbox, the t-shirt, the Burger King glass. And I think that methodology of selling something affects the way that we're creating art as well right now.
And what about comic books and science fiction in particular?
Well, what I really loved about comic books was the density of the graphics as well as the narration. And it's that stimulation which I think I bring to my work in terms of the mixed media. That density of information and allusion to a world that's fantastic or fictitious is really exciting.
And skateboarding?
So skateboarders, I think, are inherently creative people, and that they have the ability to take their environment and make it their own and manipulate it so that basically they can have even more fun. And an artist is no different. Improvisation and exploration are rooted, I think, in our creative endeavors.
You live in a relatively small town with a good art scene, Fredericksburg, Virginia. Why, as an artist, do you choose to live here as opposed to any place else?
Well, Fredericksburg has a lot of genuine culture, from the visual arts to the music to the skateboarding scene, as well as its vicinity to the University of Mary Washington. So in that respect, it's intimate enough to have a real potential to affect people's lives, but at the same time provide them a creative resource or outlet.
Do you think that digital technology has made it easier for artists to get their work known when they're not living in a major city?
Yes, for sure. I mean, I really don't feel as if we made the leap to being professional artists until we launched our website and blog, and were able to share not only to the public but worldwide our endeavors.
Your wife, Scarlett Suy Pons, is also an artist. You often collaborate, you share studio space, and you own a gallery together. So I wanted to ask you a few questions about working with the person that you're married to. Are there any particular challenges to this process of working together?
The challenges come with balancing our personal lives and our family life with our studio life and creative edge. They're intermeshed, interwoven together, but at the same time finding that balance is what's most challenging.
What do you think the benefits are of working with your significant other?
Scarlett and I met in architecture school, and in a lot of ways our relationship began with a mutual respect for each other's work and kind of work efforts. We share a similar love for a certain aesthetic and excitement for art itself. I think is really something personal, and when you share that with someone, it's that much better.
How do you inspire each other creatively?
Well, in terms of inspiration, one example is when I did a sketch of a series of these mask designs, and Scarlett was so inspired that she in turn created a series of ceramic helmets that were similar in their aesthetic, and that they were based on historical models but yet modified with a contemporary aesthetic. That kind of fun kind of sharing of an idea is what really is really exciting.
You're very active in your local creative community. Can you tell us a little bit about that and why it's important?
We did a one-day event with Fredericksburg Skateboards and Magic Bullet Records where we exhibited the history of skateboard art and design from 1960 up until today. And that event was really great because not only did we have live music and skateboarding, but we had a stencil workshop and as well the exhibit showing that lineage of skateboard graphics that inspired us as kids. For Scarlett and I, one of the most rewarding things has been going to events like career nights and meeting other students that were just as involved and excited about artwork and were seeking kind of career goals in that direction.
So what are you working on now and what's next?
I'm currently working for a show at Art First Gallery in Fredericksburg, Virginia in March of 2010. In May of 2010, I'll be participating in a group show at Lorton Arts Workhouse. And also showing at a boutique on U Street in Washington, D.C. called Caramel.
Gabriel Pons, thank you very much for doing the interview.